Well, day 5 in the preliminary hearing for David in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And today, they got into some text messages, and actually, they talked about what is probably the critical text message for the prosecution between Celeste and David the night before her death. And the text message was, the exchange is about jealousy, basically, that Celeste questioned David about a female friend of his that apparently had posted something that made it clear she was at David's house. And the exchange went basically something like, was she there? Was she in my seat? Was she in my seat? If she was, I am going to strangle you, and I will tell my dad, and I will expose, I will ruin your career, I'll ruin everything, I will expose you.
So
that's on the evening of April 22nd.
The day before she is never to be seen again. So the prosecution's theory is that David was having sex with a 13-year-old girl, and she is now threatening to expose that, and it probably would have ruined his career. He would have lost millions of dollars, and therefore he set her up by having an Uber take her to his house the next day, where he was lying in wait, and when she walked in, he killed her. That's the prosecution's case in a nutshell.
Yeah, and look, I mean, in the text, she certainly is threatening not just his career, but saying, I will strangle you, and the weird part was, and tell my dad, but then you remember she's 14.
Well, now, there's something interesting that happened here, and, you know, we've been kind of wondering, what exactly is the defense going to argue in this case? Well, some things came out today. Number one, what you just said, which is, I will kill you. If that's her state of mind going to the house, and that she walks in, could David say, yes, but this was self-defense? And I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm saying they need to...
Is this something they're going to say? Because we've been saying, all week we heard all of this evidence the prosecutors presented during the preliminary hearing, and we were wondering, like, what kind of defense could he possibly mount for this?
And all they need is reasonable doubt.
All they need is reasonable doubt. And these text messages are pretty graphic. She's saying, I'm going to kill you. And there's some detail there as well. And he could say, like, he acted in self-defense, and then he'd have to explain away through witnesses or whatever the panic and the chopping up of the dismemberment of the body.
Well, there's an answer to that, right?
Yeah.
That somebody dies. Somebody dies because you actually did it, and you're saying it's self-defense, but you're sitting there with a 13-year-old who is now dead.
Yeah.
And what would somebody do in a situation like that? Would they call the police? Well, they should. Would they necessarily? Or would they try to dispose of the body?
Right.
Now, another option for a possible defense came when David's attorney, the defense attorneys, brought up the fact that there were text messages leading up to April 23rd where she mentions harming herself, that she might take her own life.
Actually, there's one, from what we've seen so far, I believe it's one text message where she says, this makes me want to kill myself, something to that effect.
Now, remember, she is now seeing that another woman was at David's house, that this woman had posted it. She was angry. She had talked about this kind of self-harm.
Yeah.
So the alternative to self-defense is she came in the house and she killed herself.
Right. And that one it's harder to explain the dismemberment after the fact if she killed herself, because presumably that would be more easily provable to investigators.
That
than
he
if
would
he
just call
acted in
police and
self-defense.
say...
You would just act, but at the same time...
But the complication there is, again, that he's having sex with a 13-year-old who dies in his home.
Even if you're saying that even if she killed herself, he's thinking, I was having sex with this 13-year-old, and if I call the police...
We have just got to eliminate the body. And again, this is not what I'm believing. This is what I think the defense could argue. And again, all they have to do...
Open the door to either of those.
Well, they have to choose one. They can't do both.
They open the door to either using one of them.
And which one? And obviously, if one of them is true, that's the one they're going to choose. And if he wants the defense that's not the truth, he's got to figure out which one.
They got to figure out which one, because you can't go with both.
You can't go with both.
So you got to pick one.
Right.
I don't know which one, but I think that's where the defense here is heading.
Agreed.
Hi, my name is Jazz. I'm in Florida, and I've been following this case for a while, especially from the very first time that we heard about this young lady being in the Tesla. I think Harvey said it best. Listen, this is still a minor that David was around, that he was intimate with. And even though she sent those text messages, you still found a way to get her to your home. And somehow she passed away. We don't know how exactly it happened, but the girl was found dismembered in your Tesla that had nothing but what is it? All those, I can't remember what it's called in the car that was hanging up.
Yeah.
Insects.
Yeah,
Insects
like
that were-
it's just inappropriate. It's disgusting. And it was still your car that you abandoned in a lot, and it still goes back to you. And you still decided to go about your life like nothing happened. So put him underneath the jail, make him dig his own hole, and call it a day.
Well, here's the thing. I have covered too many cases to prejudge based on a preliminary hearing. That I hear what you're saying, but this is the prosecution laying out its case without hearing anything from the defense. Remember, the defense has the advantage of only having to show reasonable doubt
once they get to the trial.
once they get to trial.
This part, we're pretty clear on. He's going to be held to stand trial.
But don't assume it's a slam dunk.